What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XRP today. It is the 9th day of October, and here we are sitting at about $2.79, $2.80, right in there. 5 hours, 26 minutes left in the day. You guys hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about the price action here. I do think, on the bright side, XRP is probably done moving down. I think we're at that area where we're going to find support and move up. Um, if I'm wrong, again, I don't. I've never really seen it where a quadruple bottom works out, right? And maybe I was wrong to think of this as a quadruple bottom, right? Here's a low, and then here's two lows. Maybe it's just one low. Maybe it's a triple bottom. Triple bottoms exist. But regardless, if this is a quadruple bottom, you best believe there's no such thing as quintuple bottoms. There's no such thing as quadruple bottoms. If we go lower is what I'm trying to say. If we do go lower here, it's statistically improbable. I've never seen it before where we would bounce and recover here. We would likely go lower. So in other words, what we want to do is we want to hold the line. We don't want to go too much. It's okay if we go a little bit lower, but you don't want to interact with it to where it makes it seem like there's multiple or another low being added to this list of lows here, okay? Because if we do that, again, we likely will see XRP break down. And that would be a big problem. That would be a huge problem. Not just for XRP, but I think for the crypto space, right? XRP is the #3 coin, isn't it? Isn't it right now? Let's see. Is BNB ahead of it? BNB is still ahead of it. Okay. Still ahead of it. Whatever. That's okay. You know, it's up this week. XRP's down this week. When XRP pumps, it'll gain relevance. Even if it's the top 10, the point remains. A coin like this dropping would be problematic for the space. I think it would be problematic. There'd be something fatally wrong here. Because if XRP drops here, just think what that might imply. If we break out of this to the downside, then this becomes a double top. That implies that we might break out of this overall range. So that, you know, like it's not a good look. So don't avoid that look. Avoid any of that and just find support here. Okay, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just letting you know what's at stake here, right? I don't care what we want to see happen. I'm going to tell you guys what's at stake if it's if this is a path that we're going down. Now, I do want to say, I doubt we go lower. I doubt we break below this level. I doubt that it happens. I doubt that the negative side comes into play. But there are some things that we need to uphold if that's to remain true. If my doubts are to be valid. If we're looking at this on the 1 hour time frame, $2.79 right here. Looking at the 1 hour RSI, we have bullish divergence, which is good. We like good things. Good things are good. Higher lows in the RSI, bouncing off the oversold zone here, right? Rejecting it right there. You got 23 minutes left in this 1 hour candle. That little bit of a lower low there, higher low there. What I'd like to see is that this 1 hour candle in the next 23 minutes, I would like to see that it comes up and closes green. Because if we close here, well, guess what? The bullish divergence, this lower low here with the higher low in the RSI, it becomes irrelevant. Because you've already made the move. You've already gone back to where the divergence formed. Now you can move lower if you want to. So closing this candle green is actually very important, I think, to suggesting that you bounce here. If we go lower, that's fine. We can go lower. We can form more bullish divergence. We can form double bullish divergence. I think that would be okay as well. But we're looking for a bounce around here, okay? Looking at these stochastics, turbulent, closing this 1 hour time frame red would look like we're going lower. And the MACD, bullish divergence as well, but you could allow for lower prices if you find resistance here. So depends on what we do between now and the end of this 18th hour in the day, this 9th day of October. 4 hour time frame, more bullish divergence, and this is a little bit more extremely pronounced, and it's yet to react. Now, on the negative side, you do not have confirmed bullish divergence until you close a candle green, okay? We have higher lows here, which is nice in the RSI. We have lower lows here in the price, which is nice with that setup, right? Bullish divergence. But if this next hour and 22 minutes closes red, then we have to wait for the next candle to close green, right? If we close any candle green down here while we have higher lows in the RSI, I don't care if we go lower first. We can go lower first, but as long as we close a green candle, we will validate the bullish divergence and likely see a move that at least takes us back to about 284, 285. One would imagine with that kind of movement, that type of behavior, that we would actually see something that's a little bit higher ensue afterwards. But let's look at this here. From a relative low to the relative high, you have gone through your golden ratio. You found support here, found resistance here. Now you're going down. This is actually very common to do right here. If you find support at the golden ratio, you find resistance in this range, you oftentimes do go to your 786, 886. Maybe just the 786, maybe somewhere in between, maybe the 886 at the most, but $7.43 XRP Army, $7.43 needs to hold. Not to say that you can't wick below it. You could wick below it. That's okay. Hell, wick below this low even. It's fine if you do. But on a closing 4-hour time frame, you need to close above here. You need to find support at the lowest at that 274 area. You cannot close below there. The fact that you're at the 786 now gives me a little bit of optimism that this really could be the low. This is where you bounce from. And then again, the 4-hour bullish divergence is there as well. Maybe this candle closes red, but the next one closes green. You know, time will tell. We'll see. You are in a downtrend in the RSI. You do have lower lows and lower highs. Typically, these downtrends end once you're in the oversold zone with bullish divergence. We say that all the time on this channel. And I say typically. Maybe I should change the word typically. It's a good bit of the time. I guess that's the same thing, right? Typical. Typically, that's what you see. That's what we look for. The stochastics are bearish and the MACD is bearish, but there's not any bullish divergence there. I don't know. Let's see how we close this 4-hour candle. I think that we're fine as long as we're closing 4-hour candles, 4-hour time frames, not hours, not 30 minutes, not 15 minutes, but a 4-hour time frame or a higher time frame candle body close above $7.43. I think we're okay. I think that we're okay. Let's look at something with some volume on it, okay? USDT, Binance. Not a whole lot of volume. See, that's nice. That's nice. We're moving down and volumes. You know, notice how, I don't know what all that is. Notice how there's a lot of volume here and there's no volume here. That's nice, right? Let's look back and see in time if there were any instances like this before for the upside, right? Here you are moving up. You got a lot of volume coming in here. Volume dies off. So what'd you do? You consolidated. Volume continues to die as you're moving up. So what happens? You correct. You actually corrected down quite a bit, right? It's very common. It's very common to top off and to bottom out with high levels of volume like this or a steady decay in volume like what we're seeing here. And this decay in volume I think is implicative that we do find support soon enough, right? What you want to see is out of this, you want to see volume start to come back in as we're moving higher, okay? When the volume does start to come back to life a little bit, you want to see that come in congruence with a movement upwards, okay? Looking at XRP here on the daily time frame now, okay? Again, it's vital that we don't go down here. It's vital. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think I misspoke earlier whenever I said it's okay if we go below 274 or $2.74. It's okay if we do. You could even go below here. It's okay as long as we're closing a 4-hour time frame or a higher time frame above here. But I want to re-speak on this. You don't want to go below here. You don't want to interact with this level at all, because if you do, then we have problems. Then we likely do go lower. The best case scenario if we were to go lower would be that you do in fact stretch so far down that you get a slightly lower low. It's a fake out. Then you come all the way back up and close above 274 on a 4-hour or daily time frame, all in that same like 1-hour to 4-hour time frame. That would be the best case scenario. So if you were to go lower, again, going below these lows does not necessarily mean that we've got 260 and below to go, that we're even going to go lower than that. It doesn't mean that. It just depends on how we do it. You want to keep closing days and 4-hour time frames above 274. As long as you do that, I think we're fine. To validate that this is the low, or that any low that we might find is the low, we need to get back above this red line here, $3. Okay, nice psychological level, $3, and then the 236 is vital on any fib. Once you get above it, that tells us that you're ready to move higher. Let's actually look here from a high to a low. Actually, sorry. A low to a high. Once we started to retrace here, right, we got below, getting above this 236 is what would be necessary to validate that we're moving higher, that this is the low, right? We didn't get above the 236, so what did we do? We rejected back down. Still same thing here. This 236 is even applicable really for this whole range. This might be another area to pay attention to, and that's right there at 320. But now with this most relative fib that we're looking at, right here, this fib's right at $3. That relative fib, I think, is actually more crucial because this is, again, relevant to the most recent low that we have. We validate this as a low. We validate this is getting broken. And then undoubtedly we'll break above this line as well and see higher prices, right? Just circling back to the idea, we need to close above 274. Don't close below 274, okay? Stochastics are bearish, but you're at an area where you might bounce. RSI is neutral, but you're at an area where you like to bounce, so that's encouraging. Hopefully you bounce. and the MACD is worthless here. It's not going to help us. Daily time frame, normally the MACD is helpful, but being that we've just moved sideways, it's really not giving us much. Yes, yes, yes. It looks bearish right now, kind of, but whatever. It is and it isn't. It could be bull. It's neutral. It's very, very neutral. I don't care that you're below the zero. I would say that it's neutral. Weekly time frame here, zooming out a little bit. Things are overall very bullish, but again, I think we need this week to come up a little bit. I think by the end of this week, it's okay if we close here. You don't want to close too much lower. We're right on the precipice, right? Like if we close lower than this, your RSI is breaking below the 50, your stochastics are breaking below the 50, the MACD is furthering its divergence here, promoting some bearish momentum. You want to find support at this level. You want to find support at this level. And you want to stop the growth. You want to promote the decay of the bearish momentum. You want to stop the growth of that momentum. So hopefully by the end of this week we can come up a little bit. I think we will. I'm optimistic that we will. Being that we're here right at the 786 low. Oh, that's not it. Low to high. Being at the 786 like this can set you up for some very massive movements higher. Okay? We really might see this thing just launch all the way back to about like $3, not $2.94, $2.90, something like that, over the coming hours by the end of this day, or maybe even going into tomorrow. But that's what we're looking for. Okay, strong finish to the end of this week, something that's around $3, even if it's just below $3, around there, and then inevitably once we get above $3, then we can talk about the fantastic breakout that's going to take place with that. Right, you break out of this. Once we break out of this zone here, you're breaking out of this overall zone. Once you do that, I mean, you're just starbound. Your destination is new all-time highs. And those new all-time highs will come in the form of prices that are at $10, $13. Beyond that, right? The target areas that we have in mind are all the way up at $13.56 and beyond by the end of the year for XRP. I very strongly believe that we'll be at a $13.56 price, if not more, by the end of the year. And if anything, it could happen sooner than that. It could happen, October, November, we could very well be up in that area. XRP moves at a very fast pace when it wants to. We've been consolidating for nearly a year now. I think it's time to let loose the goose. And whenever we do that, it's going to fly real high. But I don't have anything else that I want to say. Just pay attention to these days, these coming hours. Hopefully by the end of the week, we get a little bit more life, because at this point, things are looking a bit sketchy. They are looking a bit sketchy, let's be fair. But I don't think that that's anything necessarily to be completely worrisome about, right? Don't have nightmares over this, because you looked very sketchy right here, right? When you're at lower lows, you broke below this point here, you're reaching down for this area, you're below these lows again, like you looked sketchy there. You looked sketchy right here, and that was the best times to buy, right? You looked really good right here, right? But that's just because you look sketchy doesn't mean that you are sketchy. You're not in trouble right now. But if you get below 274, if you make this look to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 bottom, that would promote some bad things. That would promote some bad things. At the very best case scenario, it would promote a fake out, in which case still we would go down below like $2.65. And maybe we do. But I mean, if we're looking at this overall, from this relative low to this relative high, 264 is your 0.5. You might find support right there. Maybe you see a wicked crash all the way down to 245, and then you come back up, you hit the golden ratio, and then you bounce dramatically. Maybe you get some grand fake out of all of this, and then you pump. Something like that can happen. Crypto is crazy. But again, that's the best case scenario, right? The worst case scenario is that you break out of this, and that means terrible things are happening. So even in the best case scenario, that would be a pretty intense drop. I don't want to see XRP drop from here, man. 278 down there. That's a 5% drop to a 12% drop. That would imply like a 7% drop to a 15% drop across the board in the crypto markets. And I think I speak for everybody when I say we're ready for this thing to move higher. Not just XRP, but crypto as a whole. We're ready for the whole damn market to move higher. Tired of waiting, tired of being patient, but we will if we have to be. I'm just rambling at this point, so I'm going to end it there. Hit the like button, subscribe. Very optimistic, very bullish on XRP overall. Just we're in a kind of critical moment right now. I think we're going to hold up. I think we're going to hold it. I think we're going to bounce here. I think everything's going to look fine. But I gave you the parameters to look for if we go lower, just in case, right? So take care. Bye-bye. And again, I want to say it very clearly. I'm going to look you in the eyes. If you think I'm bearish on XRP because of this video, you're wrong. You didn't listen. Watch it again, okay? Very bullish on XRP. We're talking about going to $13 by the end of the year. Super bullish. We're just in a precarious situation right now. So there needs to be some dynamics that are addressed. And we did that. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.